Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the last day of AIS and AF18 specifically. And I hope that you've all enjoyed your stay in Lusaka and, of course, the meetings and the discussions that have been going on. We kick off the day with the service update from Afrinic, and this is, I'm sure, something that all of you would be listening to keenly because of the kind of service that we offer our members, and obviously that would demonstrate our commitment to what we call the service level commitment that we're going to be publishing very shortly, and one that the CEO talked about yesterday. Without further ado, I think I will call upon Alain Aina, who is the Special Projects Manager, to speak about RPKI. Alain.
Thank you, George. Bonjour tout le monde. I have 7 minutes to talk about RPKI. I will try to make it as fast as possible to focus on the future of RPKI at Afrinic. So what is RPKI? I think most of you know what RPKI means. No? Okay. RPKI means Resource Public Key Infrastructure. Basically, it means for RIA to certify your right to use the resources. So you'll be getting certificate, S549 certificate, which associate your right to use to your IP and ASN. Then it allows you to sign object and follow the chain of trust from the trust anchor to your object or to other your peers object, etc., etc. The RPKI certificate follow the number resource allocation chain from IANA to RIA and RIA to ISPs and to downstream, etc., etc. So nothing's really changed on. So this is basically how it works. Afrinic receive allocation from IANA, and Afrinic allocate resources to ISPs. So through RPKI, certificate will be issued to members to cover the resources, and if ISPs sub-allocate or sub-allocate or assign resources, they will also issue certificate, sub-CA certificate or end entity certificate. This is the example of the chain. The chain of Afrinic, the issuer, Afrinic issue certificate to ISP2, ISP2 issue certificate to ISP4, and then ISP4 issue what we call end entity certificate. In the PKI, you have 2 types of certificate. You have a CA certificate, which you use to issue certificate and sign CRL, or you have the end entity certificate, which you only use to sign other object. So ISP4 issue himself what we call end entity certificate, and then that will be used to sign various objects. So what can you do with your certificate? You can sign what we call route origin authorization to attest that you allow a network to advertise your prefaces on the internet. You could use it to sign object in an internet routing registry. You can also use it to sign routing object in a routing protocol. You can also use it to issue CA certificate, and it can also be used, for example, in case to protect numbers transfer among the region or between region, etc., etc. Sign object. The most known signed object in RPKI, or I could say the only one we have is the route origin authorization, where a preface holder issue a statement saying that I give the right to this AS, a specific AS, to announce my prefix into the routing table. And this is called object we call ROA in the RPKI. So in the RPKI, basically you have certificate, and you also have ROA object. And the ROA object seems to be the most useful product we have right now in the RPKI. Afrinic RPKI system based on APNIC code. We launched this since 2011. Has been used. This is the front-end interface. This is, we have 22 engine, 22 members. So if you are not on this list, please talk to us, and then we can help you to enable your engine. This is statistic. You see the area, all the area. You see APNIC has many trust anchor, but you see Afrinic here. We have 127 objects. Everything looks good, seen yesterday, and we have only 25 valid ROA in our repository now. Route origin validation. This basically shows how now, if you issue ROA to protect your preface, how ISPs can validate. So I need to go quick because I only have 1 minute left. This is an example. This is an example of a prefix protected by ROA. You see, these days, if you query BGP, you see something new: RPKS state valid, or RPKI state not found, or RPKI state invalid. What have we done so far? We changed and improved the issue ROA interface. That was a main thing we did last year, because now if you connect, you can select directly your number. So if you connect, if you go to click issue ROA on this new interface, you see all your resources, and you manage them. Before you had to know your resources and copy and paste. So now with this new interface, it's done automatically and much easier than before. Next, coming soon, we just bought SSM, and we're going to launch a new version. I'm calling version 2. We solved the problem with the repository, some of the problem we have with our old code, and we are going to cover all the resources, including the legacy space. It will require key rollover. It will require that we reissue all the objects, and we will talk to you and engage the members in this transition. Thank you. I think this is my last. Okay, thank you. And I'll be happy to answer any question you may have, but I think we are going for question and answer after the colleagues here. But I see Leo.
Here we go. Right. Hello, Leo Vigoda from ICANN. On the slide at the start where you showed the hierarchy, you indicated the top of the hierarchy sitting in IANA. I have been led to believe that in the event that a global trust anchor is to be created sitting in IANA, but in ICANN, and I'm perhaps not the best person to explain the reasons why that is, but I've been led to understand that's a really important distinction, that it's not to be an IANA activity, but an ICANN activity, if such a thing is ever created.
Thank you very much, Alain. Any other question? Quick question, if anybody has one? No. Thank you very much, Alain. Next, we have Nishal, who is also in the special projects team, and he will talk about the AF DSP and root server copy. Please, Nishal.
Thank you very much, George, and good morning to everybody. I hope you've been having a good conference. So I'm up again, and I'm going to talk to you about the DNS programs that we run at Afrinic. As Alain said, we only have 7 minutes apiece, so I will try to speak slowly, but I'll also try to go through the stuff that I have to speak about very quickly. So this is not news to most of you. I see very popular faces, very common faces I've seen here before. We run DNS programs at Afrinic to support our environment, to support our constituency, as part of improving and developing and supporting technology use in our region. We have 3 very different programs that we run at Afrinic that are directly applicable to you. So the first is the African Root Server Copy Project. We have the RSC 5855 project, and my personal favorite, the African DNS Support Program. So a very quick brief on what each of these are. So the DNS root server project is all about trying to get critical internet resources, the resources in the forms of DNS root servers, closer to African networks. A few years ago, there were pretty much no DNS root servers in Africa, and one of the key missions that Afrinic is doing is trying to improve internet infrastructure in the region by bringing these DNS root servers close to you. Now, the first few times that I had stood up here, I had spoken a lot about us working with internet exchange point operators and co-locating these services at internet exchange points. And what's changed since the last AIS meeting in mid last year was that we signed an MOU with one root operator, the L root operator, to help improve the scope of DNS routes in Africa. So we're actively working, in addition to the other DNS routes we're working with, to try and get this additional route in place. Post that signing of that MOU in Q4 last year, a DNS root server was installed in Cote d'Ivoire, so congratulations to them. We're busy with installations right now. The equipment's on site, and as soon as we're done with the event, we'll finish the configuration and work with the Mauritius host and a Libyan host. And I'm very pleased to say we're accepting new applicants as well. So if you run a network, if you think you can support and sustain a service, the email address for you to contact us is there. Please, you'll get the notes, the slides should already be on our website, or you can make a note of that. Feel free to contact us. The second project we run is the RFC 5855 servers. Basically, RFC 5855 describes a naming system for the in-adder ARPA and IP6 ARPA. And for the non-geeks in the room, that's what takes your IP address and translates it into a name. Also, a critical service for so that things like mail servers work properly and anti-spam continues to work properly. So Afrinic has been running the C copy of this up since 2010. And you can see some statistics. I'm sorry if the numbers don't appear very clear to you, but we do about 1,500 queries a second for IP6.ARPA, and we do roughly 2,500 odd queries for in-adder ARPA. And this is all coming out of infrastructure that we run currently, 3 nodes in and around Johannesburg. So that's a part of the critical internet infrastructure that's run by the RIRs, I should say. We each have a copy of it, and Afrinic has the C, as I mentioned. The AF DSP is the African DNS Support Program. And what we're trying to do with this is we're trying to bring African DNS operators, operators of CCTLDs in Africa and what we call critical internet infrastructure closer to Africans. So for instance, if you have or manage a CCTLD, I'm from South Africa, so .za, we'd love to work with you to be able to install a secondary copy of your CCTLD zone in and around areas that we have coverage. This is just a natural byproduct of some of the infrastructure that we're building that you'll hear about from Naraya. We've got some spare capacity, and we're using this to, again, bring DNS closer to you. So it's available at no cost. The program has been running since about 2011, the beginning of 2011. And I'm very pleased to say that we're currently supporting 17. It was 16 this morning, but it's ticked over to 17. I just checked while I was sitting here. And of course, we're busy setting up another 3. Again, if you operate a CCTLD, or if you hold critical internet resource infrastructure from Afrinic, if you're an operator of an internet exchange point, for instance, and you're looking for a free, and we think stable, and we haven't been proven wrong yet, DNS service in Africa, we'd love to speak to you. There's a sign-up page on our website, and please contact us. So a quick map showing you the areas of coverage that we have. Some explanations necessary. The greens are CCTLDs that we have. So wherever we deploy infrastructure, you will be able to see a copy of that zone. So looking from the top, Tunisia, Libya, Niger, wherever we deploy a copy, or one of our servers, you'll get a copy of these zones. The yellows are ones that we're setting up. The yellows are ones that have expressed interest, and we're working with them to go through the setup process. The dark blue ones are the ones that should be coming on board pretty soon. And I've mentioned Gambia and the Comores because they're too small to be seen on my map. So the infrastructure lives, as I said, on our infrastructure in Johannesburg, Cape Town, and what's changed since the last meeting is that we now have signed an MOU to deploy a node in Tunisia. I mention this because we're actively soliciting partners. If you have stable infrastructure in an area in Africa, and you'd love to be involved, and you want to be involved in the project, I'd love to speak to you. We're looking for hosts in different regions. The setup is really, really simple, as you can see. We'll provide infrastructure, technical expertise. All we ask is for just a little bit of bandwidth to do updates, and that you make the service available to everybody that's co-located around you. If you're looking to contact me or any of the other guys that work with DNS at Afrinic, simplest email address possible, dns@afrinic.net. We'd love to hear from you, critiques, comments, suggestions, and that's it for me now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nishal, for that presentation. And what I would suggest or ask members is please maybe write down your questions and keep them until the end of the session, and we shall take questions or comments at the end. But one quick announcement is that the registration for today's members AGMM is going on at Siavonga room, which is just outside the hall next to the Afrinic Secretariat. Please register for you to be able to participate at the AGMM. You need to register, and one of the main reasons why you ought to register is, apart from attending the meeting, is also to be able to vote at the AGMM. As you know, we have elections for 3 seats, so you need to register to be able to vote at the AGMM. Obviously, the ballot will be given at the meeting, but you need to register to vote. Please do that as we go on, and the registration goes on until 1 p.m. All right. I think I'll give now the mic to Amrish, who shall talk about DNSX service at Afrinic.
Thank you, George. My time has started, but my slides are not there. Okay, thank you. My name is Amrish. Hello, everybody. I work as the applications unit manager at Afrinic. So basically, the manager of the software team. So trying to do the best we can. So I'm going to talk about DNSSEC, just to give you a brief update about this service that we are offering since more than a year now, right? So as you know, we have IPv4 and IPv6 blocks that we manage. So we also manage the reverse delegations. That is the inara.arpa for the IPv4 and the IP6.ARPA for the IPv6 blocks. So for the RDNS provision system includes the domain objects that we have in a WHOIS database that you members provide us, and also we have zonelets coming from other RIOs for zones that we are a minority. Okay, so as you know, the root, the .ARPA and the in-editor.ARPA and the IP6.ARPA have all been signed, and since a long time now, and we have the chain of trust built. So we don't have any excuse for not doing DNSSEC. So Afrinic has deployed DNSSEC since last year, in April, and it has been functioning correctly. We have no impediments so far. Okay, so we have signed our RDNS zones. We have published our DS records in our parent zone. And we are also accepting DS record from our members, that is our child zone, through MyAfrenic and through the WHOIS auto-dbm email address. So here is a rather simplified architecture of the DNS provisioning system at Afrinic. So on the far left, you have MyAfrenic and the WHOIS database, which actually feeds data in the RDNS processing system. We have also zonelets coming from other RIOs. So mixed together, they produce zone files, which we will publish in our primary and secondary DNS servers. But now we have a signer, OpenDNSSEC basically, which now produce signed zones. Of course, now with DNSSEC, we have to do some key management. And that's why we have a DNSSEC practice statement, which says that the key signing key should be of 2048 bits RSA, and the zone signing key should be of 1024 bits RSA. The signatures are done with SHA-256 RSA as well, and the lifespan of the KSK is 1 year, and the one for the ZSK is for 1 month. That's basically it. We have to do key rollover every year. So we did one this year in March, and that went successfully. We have published our DS records in our parent zone using the RESTful interface provided by ICANN. And that worked well, actually. We were very happy to use it. And the next rollover is planned when we will switch to the hard SSM. We are actually using a soft HSM, but we are planning to move to the hard HSM. Regarding the ways, the means that you have to send your DS records to Afrinic, you have, of course, the auto-dbm at afrinic.net. For those who manipulate WHOIS object, they should be very familiar with this. So you can send emails with your domain objects and your DS record. You also have the MyAfrenic interface, which I personally prefer because it offers you a very strict validation. You have the opportunity here to put your DS record, validate it, and then push it to the WHOIS database. So here is the validation that we actually have on the MyAfrenic interface. We so the first thing we do is we check the syntax of the DS record that you have put. We look for the KSK in the child zone. If we have it, then we go and check the key tag, the algorithm, and the digest. If everything is fine, we verify that your signature on your child zone is fine. We get your DNS key, and we hash everything to get the DS record. So we then compare the DS record with the one that you have put. If it's all right, then we can now push to the WHOIS database. So that's basically the validation. About some statistics, we have currently 49 DS records in our database, 45 for the IPv4 and 4 for the IPv6 zones. And so far we have only 2 members. Mark is one of them and actually has most of the DS records there. This is an example of a validated DNS response. You have the AD bit, and you can see there the signature, which has been added to the zone. Just for your information, when you do DNS tech, the zone is increased by 2 to 3 times the size. That's it. So if you have any question, or if you have you want to have more information, you can visit our website. You go to initiatives and then DNSSEC. We have also an email address, dnssec.ops@afrinic.net, for any questions and comments. We're happy to assist. And that's the team holding the HSM that we will soon hopefully deploy. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Amrish. And I should say that's just part of the team. It's a very big team. I think now is time to welcome Vimala to talk about FIRE, the FIRE program. This is an awards and grants program that has been set up to recognize some of the work that is being done in Africa by various people to benefit various communities.
So, good morning everyone, I'm Vimala. My presentation today will start with a brief on the FIRE program, followed by the 2012-2013 achievements. Well, for those who are not still familiar with the Fund for Internet Research and Education, this was launched in 2012 in Zambia during our 16th public policy meeting. So, the FIRE program is a member of the SEED Alliance, together with the initiative from the other RIR, namely from the FRIDA from LACNIC and IC from APNIC. So the FIRE program offers awards and grants to deserving projects in our community. It's specific to the African region. So how did the FIRE program started? It started in 2017 when Dr. Ni invested his John Postel Award in a fund called FIRE, and together with Adil, the founding CEO of Afrinic, they sowed the seed to make it grow. We got now donors from the International Development Research Center, from the Swedish International Development Center, ISOC, and from Afrinic. Regarding the awards of 2013, the call for application were open from 15th of March till 31st of May this year. We are actually in the screening process of the numerous projects submitted. We have already screened 11 awards that meet the eligibility criteria and under the funding category, namely access and provision, e-development, and freedom of expression. In addition to selecting a winner per category, there is a Community Choice Award category for the best social media campaign, basically the project with the highest number of votes from the community. And as you all know, the FIRE awardee 2012 was the Pan-African Medical Journal from Uganda, represented by Raoul Kamadieu, and he got the award from Anne-Rachel Liné, our Chief Operation Officer, during the ceremony held in Baku during the IGF. Regarding the grants, 2012-2013, we got 45 applications. 11 grants were approved by the selection committee, composed of Adiela Plogan, Anne-Rachel Liné, Nishal Gobarden, and Badru Ntege from Afrinic, Raled Fourati from the IDRC, and David Bekele from ISOC. The 11 grantees are receiving the financial support of $10,000 from Afrinic. We have already signed a memorandum of agreement. This memorandum of agreement have conditions specific to the grants and how they have to abide to the projects. So during this AIS, there was a working session held, conducted by Charles Dewar, an outsourced consultant. This working session was focused on management of projects, management of funds, and reporting to the FIRE program. So Afrinic is also, and the FIRE program, committed to reporting vis-à-vis the donors. We have already submitted a 6-month activity to the IDRC on activities we have been doing, allocating funds. A matrix of monitoring and evaluation has been implemented and submitted to the Swedish International Development Agency. This matrix is structured to enhance mapping of results, determine outcome objectives, and bridging the gaps of each program of the SEED Alliance. There is a constant monitoring and evaluation of funds with the financial controller, Patrick J.S. from Afrinic. There is a technical report that has been sent to ISOC on the activities and the fund we have and budget we have used. And there is a constant communication between the SEED Alliance partners. And finally, there is a new cooperation development projects manager, Patricia Sangor from Senegal. I think you have met her. And she's the one who is going to take over the FIRE program as from now. And if you have any question, you can visit our website, and please subscribe to our mailing list so that you can get all information regarding the grants, the awards, the call for applications. And you have all the list of the grantees, the name of the projects, the name of the grantees, their contacts if you want more information. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Vimala. And I should say that the members are also welcome to obviously submit their projects, and we hope that going forward we will see more members applying for the grants and awards, and obviously doing much more to benefit the communities in which they live and work. So thanks very much, Vimala. Now we're going to go to the money matters. Patrick, please.
Hi, I'm Patrick from Afrinic. I work in the finance department. I'm going to take you through our billing system, billing process, so that you have a rough idea of what is involved in this particular function. The major components of the billing process is actually about four subunits. We handle the annual invoicing of membership renewals. We do a lot of follow-up on payments, updating of members' records on the accounting system and MyAfrinic portal, and the billing of new members as and when they arrive. This is how our time is practically split into. We spend 15% of actually updating data, and about 15% on new members, and 10% on annual renewals, but the bulk of our time is spent on chasing payments. Right. Up till recently, the annual billing stages that were involved in the billing process were as follows. We first of all did a manual verification of each member's categories between two distinct databases. We had the accounting system, and then we had the MyAfrinic database. Then we need to compare the categories if they had changed during the course of a year. Change mean here members have had received additional resources or probably returned some, so which will affect the billing categories for the next billing anniversary. Then invoices were then issued in early December, and the invoices were sent by emails and to billing contacts in PDF format. Invoices were also printed and couriered to members. Invoices were manually uploaded onto MyAfrinic, and all the funds, as and when they're received, were also uploaded manually onto MyAfrinic. As you can see, this process was tedious and prone to all kind of errors because there was a lot of manual interventions that was involved. So the problems we really encountered with this process was the extensive manual interventions that were involved, which obviously gave rise to the human errors and what have you. And there was a duplication of efforts and time consuming. It was not really cost effective, and mistakes will occur in the billing wrong categories, and members' records were not updated on time, or they were updated wrongly. So what have we done? First of all, early last year, we upgraded our accounting software, which helped us to create a platform, which our dev team to create a platform which interfaced the two sets of databases, the one and accounting system and MyAfrinik. This removed mostly all the manual intervention that was involved in the past. We have also this year reinforced the billing team, which means we've now got a dedicated team that handle all billing issues, starting from the billing queues and responses to members on matters relating to billing. And quite a few changes has been made to the MyAfrinik portal to really automate certain actions. And we are now working on a new member portal which will ease up the new registration of new members. Obviously, this resulted into a few advantages, and the manual inputs had been totally reduced to an absolute minimum. Data are input only once and are automatically synchronized, so which means removing the human intervention. The billing categories are updated as and when changes occur, and notifications are sent automatically. And members' accounts are updated much faster, and any duplications are eliminated. And dedicated team of staff has been assigned to deal with billing matters with faster response time, hence reducing the billing queue as we know it was. This is basically the progression of our membership, which has obviously necessitated us to change our approach when dealing with billing and members in general. Now, we've got one little issue, or one big issue, which we have to deal with. One of it's about the debt recovery. Now, our past experiences has revealed that with 50% of the renewal fees are settled within terms. That is, only half of the billing are actually settled within the period allowed for settlement. And by the time we reach half the year, which is June, we still have over 30% of the fees unsettled, which explains on the graph earlier on that we spend a lot of time doing chasing payments, sending reminders, and on the phone calling members for them to settle their fees. In addition to that, we tend to make sure that fees are collected each time you get a new member who comes in and requests for additional resources. That's another way of us to recover the bills. We also have a few concerns at the moment, which tends to hamper the smooth running of the billing process. We have a problem with members not really updating the contact details, which result into organization not receiving invoices and any other communication, which poses a problem because members claim that, oh, we haven't received the invoices. But unless the contact details which we maintain are up to date, we will not be able to achieve that. At the same time, another issue is the lack of payment details whenever payment funds are transferred. Sometimes you have different organizations paying for other organization, and funds remain in suspense because the paying organization is not a member, or the invoice number is not recorded on the paying documents. And again, I just mentioned that the invoices really remain unpaid for a long period of time. So what should we do? I mean, it's obvious that we are very grateful for the support that we have from the members, and we try to ensure that the members are served with a maximum efficient service level. But at this point, I think we would like to continuously appeal to members for them to settle their fees on time, to update their contact details regularly, to really include accurate references on payment documents, and visit the MyAfriNIC portal regularly and bring to our attention any discrepancies that they may find, which help us a lot to rectify any errors or anything that may have crept in. I think that's it from my side. Thank you. Wow.
Thank you very much, Patrick. You just mentioned quietly to me that all the members here are in good standing. So, but if there's any who has billing issues to sort out, Patrick is available, and we got a team as well that can sort out issues to do with billing. Now is we're going to deal with issues of registration, and I call upon Madhvi to do that, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Madhvi Gokul, Registration Service Manager at AFRINIC, and I'll be having a first presentation regarding the policy implementation experience in the Registration Services Department. As you're all aware, AFRINIC policies are community-driven. We have a bottom-up approach where policies have been written by the community, discussed in plenary sessions like this, and reached consensus. The previous few days, for those who were not aware of that, has been a good example. During our day-to-day work, and especially this year, we have had some time to focus on what are some of the issues that we think must be addressed back to the community here, and those who are not here, remote participating, etc. Because we have seen issues that we think are important for us and maybe will be important for you to address. So I will go through some policies. I have taken a small portion of it, and then I will tell you about what we're doing, what are the issues we've encountered, possible solutions, and then we'll hear from you about if you have any suggestions or comments. The first policy is the IPv4 allocation policy in our region. And there is a stipulation in there that AFRINIC is responsible for allocation of IP address space, AS numbers, and management of reverse domain names within the region. And the region is defined as the AFRINIC service region and consists of countries on the African continent as well as some islands in the Indian Ocean. The current RS practice is that we verify the legal presence of organizations requesting for membership and resources if they are present in our service region. What we also do is we look for proof of infrastructure and operation in the region, proof that they're providing services to the end users, evidence of connectivity and operation, where we have ISPs and telecommunication regulators. They normally have a license from the regulator in the country. So we do ask for that. And the same policy has a slow start stipulation. So any new members get slow started, they get a minimum allocation of a /22 unless they can justify that they have a need for more IP addresses. And that is based on an existing network operations. Issues that we've noted, we have offshore companies that are being set up. Mauritius and Seychelles are the jurisdiction in these countries allow for such incorporation. instead of, we have partnership regarding infrastructure, normally bound by NDA with their partners. We're seeing proof of equipment lease and co-location in data centers. IP addresses are sometimes being requested even before the organizations have established themselves in our region. And the services that they're deploying does not necessitate intensive infrastructure, but the resource requests are significant in that case. Some of them have mentioned that the customer base are completely out of this Afrinic service region. And as a last point, we have VSAT operators, resellers of VSAT services. And we all know that the core infrastructure is outside the service region. So where applicable, we have been able to approve some requests and sometimes not. Statistics-wise, I've been told that nearly 2,000 prefixes have already been assigned by LIR members outside the service region. These stats were taken from the WHOIS database. And also, a feedback from the host masters showed that as from January this year, 8% of our new member requests were from offshore companies. Okay? And some of those resource requests, the sum of all those resource requests amounted to greater than a /12. So my question to you is whether Afrinic should carry on with the current practice, or if you have any suggestions, we'll take them at the end. The second policy is the IP address, the IP assignment policy, end user assignment policy, sorry. And we have two stipulations in there saying that an organization can either show an existing efficient utilization of a /25 from the upstream provider, or they can just show justification that they have an immediate need of at least 50% of total requested size based on the network infrastructure. The current RS practice is we look for policy compliance, we look at the justified needs, and in some cases, because what we've noticed is some organizations incorporated in our region, they think they need 32 IP addresses because the IT person told them we need public IP addresses because we want to make our web server visible on the internet. And they don't take into account that, hey, we're doing NATing on the other side of the network for the users accessing the internet. So we try and talk to them, get them to give us more insight of their infrastructure, and eventually they can comply with the policies and we can approve their cases. Issues we've noted. Some end users, they have a DR site, but they can't justify the minimum needs for a /24 for those DR sites. Some end users are unable to justify an immediate need for a /24, but can justify that they are multi-homing when they're requesting for an ASN. But guess what? The end user policy does not take multi-homing as criteria for a minimum assignment. So again, I would like to hear from you as to whether we should be carrying on with the current practice, okay, or if you have any other suggestions. I go back to the IPv4 location policy, and there is written that a local internet registry is an internet registry that receives locations from NRIR and primarily assigns address space to end users. LIRs are generally ISPs, and the customers are other ISPs and possibly end users. The current RS practice is we are receiving requests from organizations that are not ISPs. So we ask for more documentation regarding the services being deployed, and then we use We try and see whether they comply with the policy, and if they comply, using the existing definition of LIR and end users. Issues. Now, our task is getting a little bit tricky because you have emerging new technologies, infrastructure as a service, cloud services, virtual network operators, telecom application hosting companies, content delivery networks, VPN service providers, and also we have mobile operators. And in some cases, for like some such service providers, it's a little bit difficult in determining whether they classify as end user or LIR. So again, we would like to hear from you as to what you think. We have a guideline regarding mergers and acquisitions. It's not a policy, it's a guideline, because we know that at some point in time, our members may change ownership due to a merger, a sale, or a takeover, or sometimes they just stop serving as an LIR. The current practices, we ask for more details about the transfer case because we have to follow the guidelines that have been set, and it's publicly available on our website. And yeah, we do the basic checks if there has been changes in the ownership, and then we approve such requests. The issues is we've seen an evolution in the way transfer requests are being sent to us. They are non-merger or non-acquisitions related from one LIR to another, and sometimes legacy resources from one organization to another organization which are non-member, but they are operating in the AFRINIC service region. So we'd like to hear from you. Yeah, this slide, I kept the slide on purpose. So this was the V6 policy, and it relates to that an LIR should also plan to announce a location as a single aggregated block in the inter-domain routing system within 12 months. And single aggregated block is the key word here. So we normally look at the IPv6 addressing plan, how they end, especially for new members who already have v4 from some other source and they want v6 only. We see how they're using the IPv4 addresses on the network and how they're planning to deploy the v6 as per the addressing plan. And we had an issue where the multinational wanted to announce the prefix in deaggregated blocks per country of operation, and they proposed a policy change, and the policy was reached consensus in this very room 2 days ago. So on a concluding note, I would encourage you to come forward with the suggestions. If you think we're doing right, okay, tell us about it. If you think we need to, if you think you have more contributions, then please free to tell us about it. And after this event, this doesn't stop here. You can post your comments and suggestions on the RPD mailing list on rpd@afrinic.net. Thank you very much regarding this presentation. The policy implementation report is the first one we've had at AFRINIC, and I think we'll carry on with that. Tell us about it if you want to carry on with us, but if we're seeing any issues, we will use it to bring it to your attention. My next presentation is regarding the registration service update. I'm glad to say that as from January this year, we had Hiba that came on board as IP number resource analyst. She's from Sudan. And as from June this year, we had Kofi Ansah Kufo who joined us. I'll give an overview of the registration service process. Before the 1st of March of this year, what we had was separate evaluation of membership requests and resource requests. It was basically one person was doing membership requests and the other one was following up with the resource request. Different queues, okay? And we identified some weaknesses. That process was time consuming. It induced a lot of delays, and sometimes AFRINIC responses were not consistent and timely. And some of the feedback that I received from some of the requesting organizations is very confusing, because when we ask them for one document when evaluating their membership, they think that's it. And then the next day they will be getting their IP addresses because they've provided whatever we asked for. So what we did was, beginning of this year, we sat down, we looked at the weaknesses, and we said, we want to improve on those weaknesses. So we redefined the new membership process. Because we had enough staff now, we said we'll evaluate the membership request and resource request at the same time, okay? In one queue. So any request from new members that come in will be evaluated in a new member queue, okay? But on AFRINIC side, we've put in all the stakeholders. I mean, AFRINIC staff, we have registration service, finance, member service liaison. So we've put them on that queue, and what we did was we set priorities. We also took measures to ensure continuous service delivery on that queue. So if one staff is sick or on leave, we know there's a backup and that our service would not suffer. We have set down a KPI that we want to approve a membership and resource requests for new members within 14 days. So with that KPI set in mind, we embarked on changing the process. How successful have we been? I've looked at some stats, and we decided that any email that comes to us in that queue would be responded within 2 hours. And we have been successful 80% of the time. The other 20%, sometimes we do get involved in other meetings or other tasks that just doesn't make us do that. But we're working on it. I've looked at the statistics and per ticket, and I've seen that we have managed to approve a new member request in 1 day, while in some it took us as long as 3 months. And we have a follow-up process. Normally some of the respondents ask us for more time because they want to provide the justification, so then we stall the tickets. But like I mentioned in my policy experience report, some of them don't even have the incorporation document. So what we've done is, fine, we stall the ticket. When they have the time, when they have the documentation, they can come back to us and we'll carry on with the process. And I'm glad to say that we've approved 20 membership requests each month. We've seen some blocking factors and we acknowledge them. Okay, we're addressing them. IP addressing plan. My host masters come and tell me, Madhvi, look at this IP addressing plan. This is a request for a /17. Here is what they're giving us. There's basically no information there about their immediate needs, about what they're planning to do, about how much IP addresses they're planning to do use in 12 months. No information about the services they're planning to deploy. Okay, so we've said, we've written a guideline, and what we've done is we're working with a training team to do an IP addressing plan module, to include an IP addressing plan module in the training materials. During the Hostmaster consultations, I know we have had quite a few this time here. we focused on IP addressing plan. That targets existing members and new members as well. If you're growing, you need to show us you're growing, and you need to show us appropriately what is your IP addressing plan. That's the core of the evaluation process. At the beginning of this year, because I had an idea that just fixing the process will not resolve all the issues, we devised a new member registration portal. We wrote down what will go in there, and we gave that to our software development team. We've tried to put in as much logic as possible in order to calculate, maybe to determine what is the member, what category the member would classify as, how the prefix will be calculated for them based on their IP addressing needs. And you'll hear from it, as soon as we go live with it. We're still testing it because of the logic in there. It's not just a dumb form that you just fill in and submit. So we're testing it thoroughly before we can present it to you. We have not neglected the services that we're giving to our members, the existing members. We man free queues, the Hostmaster queue, the Afronic Activate queue, and the Afronic DBM queues. For the Hostmaster queue, we have set a KPI that we want to approve, we will approve and issue an additional prefix within 7 days. Hostmaster's observations. We have several factors contributing to an increase in the resolution time of the request. Obsolete registered contacts, non-payment of fees. We receive tickets every day. Guess what the next response is? You haven't paid your fees, so our finance department will follow up on that, and then we'll be able to proceed with your request. I'm sure some of you have already received that email in your request, some members of the audience here. Okay, inadequate IP addressing plan. For existing members, especially big operators, we've had cases where they don't register their assignments. The policy says all LIRs must document, must register their assignments on the WHOIS database. Okay, that's not being done. I look at the stats, 37% of our locations show 0% utilization of the Afronic portal. So that means 35% of the around 1,200 allocations we've issued so far, they have, basically for us, they are not being used because the members have not documented that they are actually using those IP addresses. We've seen overlaps and non-sided assignments on the WHOIS database. So what we've done, what we are doing, and have already done in fact, is accompany, so clean up, help the member. Sometimes they don't know how to clean up, and they are big operators, so we have a lot of those assignments. So what we've done, we've helped them doing the cleanup, started the process how they should be registering, and then accompanying them using WebEx sessions, etc., to show them exactly how to proceed with the registration of the assignments, because that is important when they come back for more IP addresses. And then what we've also seen is the reluctancy sometimes to give us more information about the assignments. Regarding the big operators, one of the blocking factors before we can issue additional blocks is we need to look at justified needs, and one of those justified needs is concurrent internet subscriber connections, and that sometimes it takes them a little bit of time, or we have to work with them on that before they can give us those information, and so that we can approve such requests. Sometimes we are getting bandwidth justification usage as justification for IP addresses, IP address usage, and it's a little bit tricky to evaluate such requests like that. These are my last slides regarding statistics. Before I used to show the growth of IPv4 resources, etc. Now this time I've kept it short. Statistics are available online on our website, but I just wanted to give you an insight of what a comparison, the first 6 months of this year compared to the first 6 months of last year. So in 2012, between January and June, we had registered 56 new members. This year, we registered 74 new members. ASN requests have remained basically constant, 66 in 2012 and 73 in 2013 for the same period. Regarding IPv4 resources, the first 6 months of 2012, we had issued about 2 million of IP addresses, and what we've seen in 2013, roughly 700,000 IP addresses have been issued. Guess what? We have 4.5 million of IP addresses still not being allocated because of pending payment, and in one case we need some more information as justification. On a concluding note, I would like to tell you that we would like to improve on our services and our service delivery. You have heard from my colleagues about routing registry, RPKI, we have e-voting this time. But such improvement can only happen if you as members, you cooperate with us. If you as community, you cooperate with us. Pay your bills on time. Maintain your updated registered contacts. We'd appreciate, it would create a big number of tickets, yes, but we'd appreciate if you send us an email, hello Hailsmaster, we have had a change in our contacts, here are the old ones, here are the new ones, please do the needful. If you are an LIR and you're issuing IP addresses to your customers, make sure you register the assignments, preferably in a customer name or contact. But make sure you register those assignments. It will help us to evaluate your request for additional space quickly. And regarding spam abuse, we have a policy regarding abuse contacts. You should start implementing that, okay? And if you need help, you can always come to us, hostmaster@afrilink.net. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks very much, Madhvi, and thanks to all the presenters here. This is your organization, and we are accountable to you as both members and the community. And I hope that all the staff members have been able to address your issues. But nonetheless, this is now an opportunity for you to ask any questions, to make any comments. And we have the next 20 or so minutes. We will still have more time after the tea break with the open mic to continue with the conversations. And of course, they'll be available to answer any of your questions going forward. So if you keep your questions short, please, or comments short so that we can move quickly. And please state your name and your organization so that we can record that.
Andrew Alston, representing, various organizations. I have a bit of a question about what Afrinic plans to do in the case of organizations, multinational organizations operating in Africa with a large number of opcos and sub-organizations that are suddenly being merged. If you combine all of those organizations into one, you're suddenly left with a problem where you've got to meet an 80% rule where you've got certain countries growing faster than others and various issues surrounding that. If you don't merge them and you need to apply for IP space through one particular organization, and then you need to use that space in other organizations, etc., you end up with huge justification problems because the hardware might be sitting under another organization, the hardware could be sitting anywhere, and what's more, in providing the justification for organizations that have been acquired, etc., where Afrinic starts asking for proof of infrastructure and invoices, etc., when you've acquired an organization that's got, you know, hundreds and hundreds of devices. There's no guarantee that the invoices, etc., are going to be there. And with that kind of consolidation happening in Africa at a fairly high rate at the moment, how does Afrinic actually plan to address these situations to make it easier for such multinationals to apply for space and to justify it?
Thanks, Andrew.
This is Douglas. I'm from Uganda. I wanted to ask a few questions about the KPIs that just got presented now. My first question is, you did specify, I believe, a timeline of about 14 days or something like this. I would like to understand if these are working days or if these are calendar days that you specified. I would also like to understand if the response and resolution time are calculated within the same period, or if the response is actually calculated separately, and also if we are factoring in delays from customer, from receiving information from the customer, or if it's just this time is our time that we will spend resolving problems, or it's inclusive of the delays that the customer may face providing the information to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Douglas. Alan?
Good morning, this is Alan Barrett. A question about the response time to email. We heard from Madhvi that there's a goal or target of a 2-hour response time and that they meet this 80% of the time. Is that 2 hours even in the middle of the night, or is it 2 hours only during working time? That's one question. And the other question is, if you're meeting this target only 80% of the time, what happens in the other 20%? I guess I'm looking for an idea of what the worst case is. Thanks.
Thanks, Alan.
Good morning.
If we take, just one moment, if we take the two other, three people standing, and then we can come back for more questions, please. But the three, and then we continue. Yes.
Good morning, my name is Dewale. I work with the Nigeria ICT Forum. I have a comment in response to Madhi's presentation, Madhvi, sorry. She made an appeal for people to make their payments on time to help Afrinic members get better services on time as well. Now, my question is, do those people, those members who pay on time, have to suffer for those members who do not pay on time? She mentioned priorities. Is it possible to use those priorities to make sure that people who are in good standing get their requests processed on time, and then those who are not in good standing can have the delays? Okay, I think that's about it.
Okay, thank you.
I also do have a request that has taken about 3 years to get processed, but admittedly, in the last 7 days, it's moved faster.
Thank you. I'm Maimouna. I'm from Senegal. I would like first to thank you for this presentation and the great work you're doing. I just have one request. I would like to have, if it is possible, a graph of the allocation, the IP allocation right now for V4 and V6, but the repartition by the region. Because I think we need to see which region are really using this address and which region are not using and this the address, and to see how Afrinic could do to help those people who are beyond. Thank you.
Hi, Saul from eNetworks. My question for Lane, firstly, with respect to the RPKI stuff, I'd like to know when it's actually going to go into a live environment, when the standards are going to be fully implemented. I know you say soon, but a lot of the functionality that's on the website, for example, maximum lengths, things like that, is not actually even being recorded. So we think we're putting it in, but there's no reference on the site when you apply for your RPKI that the fields aren't going to be accepted. And even when you do update the system, that it's not going to be automatically updated either. So that's one question. Also, when is it going to become browser independent? currently only works with Firefox. Friends are not necessarily to use Firefox these days anymore, so that's the next question. Also, something that's come up quite clearly over the last week at AFNOC training, and it's caused a lot of confusion for a lot of people, is the difference between, and the need for end-user space, LR space. What's the distinction? Andrew's mentioned it, and a few other people have mentioned it now, with mergers of companies. Is there even a need for the distinction? And maybe someone can explain that. A lot has been said about timeframes of calls logged and everything else. It's always one thing I will commend Afrinic is this individual staff. If you ever have an issue and you speak to someone individually, email a person, the response is always fantastic. If you ever follow that process, you log a ticket whenever you have to log a ticket, so to speak, the process always seems to fail. But followed up to an individual, the response is always great. I think that's something that does need to be addressed across the organization.
We're going to take just one more question, and then we'll let the presenters respond, please. Sandy.
Okay, when you said one more question, I had to look back. I think I am also the last on the queue. Okay, two questions. The first question goes to the finance man, Patrick. It would be nice to know what proportion of the Afrinic income goes to supporting the core member activities that generates more money for the organization to run. The second question goes to the head of the software services group. Is there anything that can be done for the finance group so that when people don't pay for their resources, they don't have access to their resources, with not having to wait for when they request additional resources? Thank you.
Thank you very much for all those questions. I think most of them are directed towards Madhvi. Madhvi, if you start, and I hope that you remember all the questions, but there are lots of them. Mergers, multinational corporations, for example, the response time, and lots of other issues.
Okay, I guess I'll start with the operational, the queue related, and then I'll get back to Andrew's question. Sorry, Andrew, but I guess we'll need to chat longer about this as well. So regarding the response times, because we have been busy and hostmasters just don't work on tickets. Like for example, I spoke about the NMRP, so some of our time is dedicated to that as well. When I talk about we have to clean up invalid assignments for a member so that they can start the registration of the assignments again, so these things take time. And sometimes when we do get involved in those, and sometimes we have like project meetings, etc. So when we get involved in such tasks, sometimes we tell ourselves, let's finish this. It might just take 15 minutes more. And guess what? That 2 hours there is just not met. But in the meantime, we are working on another ticket or another request. We also have other projects that I did not speak about. But Alan, you've been to the previous meetings. You know about the data inconsistencies, etc., that we work on, and then we have to resolve those as well. So 20% of that time basically is, while we are not meeting that, is because, yeah, some of other tasks took longer. But what we do is, by the end of the day, before we go home, and yes, the 2-hour response time is during the working hours at Afrinic. But before we go home, we try to resolve, to answer to any emails that have come in, or in cases where we know it will need longer time to look at and evaluate what information has been given to us. I know I've seen the hostmasters doing it. We acknowledge receipt of that email and tell the person, we'll get back to you later. Okay, and we had, back to Andrew's request. What you have been saying is not a common occurrence at Afrinic. we have seen, we do have multinationals as members. What we have right now, each multinational is incorporated in the country, in each country where they operate. They manage the resources for that country, okay? In some cases, we do have one organization, say, located in South Africa, but managing operations in Namibia or Lesotho, something like that. So they manage it. The policy for IPv4 allocation states 80% usage of the previous allocations. So once you've reached 80% usage of your existing allocations, you can come and ask Afrinic for more IP addresses. We have had cases where, because the growth in one country was more than the others, and yeah, justification, that 80% justification couldn't be met. But I know of, in such cases, what happened was, since they were legally incorporated in that country where they were delivering services, those same multinationals, I mean, they registered that organization per country and requested IP addresses from Afrinic that would make it easier for them to scale and also to come back to Afrinic and justify the 80% usage and get more IP addresses. I guess, Andrew, regarding the case that you've mentioned, we need more time to sit on and decide what's the next way to proceed, what's the best way to proceed. Okay. Did I manage to answer all your questions, or do you? Yes. Okay.
I just want to clarify something as well about the 2 hours. The 2 hours are not part of the service level commitment. The 2 hours are internal threshold that we put in our service levels commitment is 48 hours. So that means what we have to look at the end of the day is if within the 48 hours response are given. But internally, Housemaster and any queue, people must be able or do everything to respond within 2 hours. So that may explain the 80-20 as well. And the other thing is that we are seeing more and more, and that is one of the problems, organizations coming from resources, but who don't have appropriate administrative organization in managing. I think that is an issue that organizations should solve internally and not request Afrinic then to be lenient on policy related to that. If you are acquiring an organization that has not managed IP address well, it's not Housemaster issue at that point of time. It's the organization to make sure that they have their paperwork and their IP address management clean. I think that will help the IP analyst as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adele. I think Madvi wants to say some more.
Okay, we had a question from, a request from one participant regarding that for those who pay, they shouldn't suffer. Okay, requests coming, I'll tell you how it goes. We look at the queues, we have a request for an additional allocation, we look at the org ID, we check the balance. If it's not zero, we inform the person, you owe us, these are how you can check your invoice, and then we tell them your ticket is being moved to billing for follow-up. So the ticket leaves the Housemaster queue and goes in the billing. Once they've paid, billing knows they have to send the ticket back to us so that we can proceed. So those who have paid, the ticket stays on with the Houstemasters and they will be evaluated. So no one is penalized if they have paid. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madvi. I think I give now the stage to Patrick. How can you spend more on members? I think that was the question.
I think the question was how much do we spend on the core activity of a business, right? At the moment, the main core activity is actually the member services, which is the registration service. at the, what we have recorded is we do spend in the region of 75 cents to the dollar on the core activity of Afrinic. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Patrick. And that's
and I think there was another one about not accessing.
Not accessing. Yeah. Thank you, Sunday, for asking this question. So when somebody is not in good standing, there are a bunch of services that he cannot access already. For example, e-voting, resource certification, that is RPKI, they cannot access it. And of course, if I have a request from billing or from member services and ask me to deny access to the members who are not in good standing, it's perfectly doable. So just need to have a request. Thank you.
Okay, Alan, you want to say something?
Yes, there was a question about the PKI things, and I first of all want to clarify. I focused my presentation on RPKI. We do have something we call BPKI, where we issue identity certificate to our members, and these certificates are used to access, for example, e-voting and also RPKI and many other services. Yes, the existing BPKI system does not support many browsers. Yes, we will soon release a new complete set of PKI, including RPKI and BPKI, which will be browser independent. And I also think I should say something about Leo's comment, because for me it was a comment, but it looked like people don't really understand what Leo said. RPKI, like a normal PKI, need to have a trust anchor. What we have right now, because I said the allocation, the PKI structure follow the allocation hierarchy. And if you look at the allocation hierarchy, IANA is the one who allocate the numbers to the RIR. But to get the one single root trust income, it has been decided that this role be played by ICANN instead of IANA. And as Leo said, it's for some reason he cannot explain himself. So I cannot either explain it, but it's going to be ICANN being the global TA for the RPKI. So right now what we have 5 TA, each RIR being TA, trust anchor, issuing himself a self-signed certificate. This is not the ideal situation. We want to move to a global TA where the relying party can only trust and manage one single TA.
All right. Thank you very much, Alan. And because I can see two people standing, we are out of time, but nonetheless, we will take just 2 more questions. If you oblige us, please allow us, because we have a lot today on the table to discuss and get through. So 2 more questions, and then we break for tea, and then have to come back. As I said, there'll be an opportunity to engage more with the people and the issues.
Okay, thank you. My name is Christian Bope from DRC, University of Kinshasa. I would like to come regarding the Maimouna point, because I think as a mission of Afrinic have to save the community equally, right? And especially, I would like to emphasize on university aspect, because the reason why is, if we can know the regional allocation of IPv4 to the university in Africa, that will help us to discuss further, because it seems like we would like to give the same block of IP at the same university, instead of being African and to distribute the IP equally in African continent. This is my worry. Thank you.
I've got a little bit of a question about the current fee structures and Afrinic's planning for the future. At the moment, it would seem to me, and I'm open to correction here, that the sustainability of Afrinic is based very much on the IPv4 fees, both the setup fees and the annual fees. My question is, with V4 running out, and particularly with what I believe is going to be a massive acceleration in that run out, where potentially by next year we could be out of space. Has Afrinic done any sustainability planning when we are no longer allocating V4, taking in those setup fees, the annual revenues from V4 suddenly become fixed, meaning no growth in revenue other than on the V6 allocations? So what is Afrinic going to be doing about the V6 fees? What planning has been done? I mean, this is not far away, so I'd be interested to hear some comments about our sustainability once V4 has actually run out.
Thank you very much, and Advi.
Okay, I'm sorry, Maimuna. To answer to your request and to Christian's request, we do have a statistics page on our website. Please go through it, and if you think it has to be improved, tell us about it. It's yes. So we will take your comments into consideration, but when I would like to proceed in such a way, because we have an idea of what we want to improve. So this is addressed to the community. Look at our stats website. If there's anything else apart from what's being discussed here that you would like us to design and show and publish on that web page, tell us about it. You can use the services mailing list to do that if you want. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and Adiel and Anne Rachel will answer the question on sustainability and the last question that Andrew asked.
Hello, I'm Anne Rachel. You get two for the price of one. So, Andrew, for your question, actually this is really seriously our next step. We're going to try and do a modelization program, basically, to see where we would stand, and this comes from what Madvi tells you, which is basically the fact that we're seeing that new companies are setting shop on the continent to request addresses, but also, you know, some of the things that you said, your own policy proposal, asking, for example, that, higher education organizations get more space from Afrinic. If that, sorry? Yeah, well, for half the price, absolutely. So this will be part of the modelization. How long? We're going to try and see, you know, what are basically the scenarios? Run out, let's say, next year, 2 years from now, or let's be optimistic, a little bit more time for Afrinic to actually decide then, you know, to come back to the community and say, sorry guys, but, you know, we can't be sustainable on this this scenario, because if we run out too quickly, then, you know, we may still have monies that are coming in from existing members. But probably, you know, if we cannot cost IPv6 addresses, as you said, then we're going to be a little bit more in trouble. So this is one of the things that we're going to do. Take the case where IPv4 address is running out, put the scenarios in where we can probably talk about modelization also of V6 going forward, pricing on you know, services around V6, and this is something that the board will come back to the community with, so we can discuss hopefully by November. All right?
Thank you very much, Anne Rachel. I think with that we come to the close of the session, but I would like to say that the next session will be partly open mic and the closing session, which is the AIS closing session, which means that there will be various issues and various members of the AF star up here discussing various issues and the way forward. So people from AFNOG, for example, AFREN, ISOC, AF-TLD, and of course Afrinic will be up here discussing issues and the way forward. So we look forward, of course, to you coming back here. If we take a very quick break, there'll be lots of issues that will be discussed in the next session, as I said. And just a quick reminder that you are expected, please, to register in Siavonga. Again, if you want to participate in the AGMM and obviously the voting. Thank you very much, and we hope to see you here back here very shortly. Thank you.